Okay, class, so there's this game called Stardew Valley, right? Right.
Yo, you gotta relax, Sonic. I'm just as excited about the game as you.
Yes, sir.
Okay, first of all, Stardew Valley debuted on the PC in February 2016, so this is not a new game by any means. It was developed by a company named Concerned Ape. Actually, it was developed by one person who was the designer, the programmer, the artist, and the composer. His name is Eric. And that's right, folks. One dude made this game.
What?
Now, if you're new to the class, I like to grade my game on 3 important areas. That's 3 important areas: story, graphics, which we'll throw sound in there as well, and arguably the most important part of any video game, gameplay. That's right. So with all that said, let's start with the story. Okay, so in the start of Stardew Valley, you create your character. There are a decent amount of options in the character creator. Nothing major or award winning, but it does the job. It works just fine. Once that's done, then you're moved on to a cutscene where your grandfather is talking to you. He hands you a letter and tells you to only open this letter when you need change. Only open it when you need change. Afterwards, it shows you your character working at a desk, and your character is clearly fed up with it.
Wait a minute, that's Woody.
Where? Oh, yeah, it just might be. It looks like him. It might be him.
Yeah, that's definitely Woody.
I wonder why he here.
Anyway, since clearly your character needs a change, she's fed up with her job, you decide to open the letter that your grandfather gave you. Long story short, you inherit a farm, and this is where the game begins. Once you gain control of your character, you find yourself in Pelican Town, where the game takes place, your new home, your new farm, and you very quickly find out that Pelican Town has some very interesting secrets. These secrets make you want to explore every inch of the town. I don't want to ruin anything, so trust me when I say there is a lot here to uncover as far as story is concerned. The town folks also have their own interesting stories to tell. There's a relationship system in the game, which we'll get into a little bit more in the gameplay section, but these relationships help you uncover some of the world's secrets. The game also delivers some of the story in cutscenes. Again, I'm trying to keep these to a minimum because I want you guys to play the game and discover these for yourselves. Throughout the game, I was really interested to see what would happen next, what I would find if I explored this whole world and everything it had going for it. Alright class, let's move on to the graphics. Okay, so this game might stand out because it's 16-bit art style. In my opinion, I love the 16-bit art style. It's very beautiful and nostalgic. During my time playing, I would consistently get flashbacks to when I would play Secret of Mana or A Link to the Past even when I was young. You young bucks might not know nothing about that, but those games, Secret of Mana, classics. Boy, I tell you.
Yeah, we know. Back in the day.
Boy, shush. The animations themselves are smooth enough. They're locked at 30 frames per second on the Switch. Now, of course, with this game being on the PC and the PS4, you could get 60 frames per second out of those, but 30 frames per second does not look bad at all. So overall, guys, in my opinion, again, this 16-bit art style aesthetic looks great. Outdoor environments look lush in the spring, summer, leaves fall in the fall, snow covers the ground in the winter. It's all pleasant to my eyes. So if you grew up in a 16-bit era like I did, chances are you'll probably enjoy this art style. I also enjoyed the music in the game. Even though it was simple, it was very memorable. All right. Last but not least, let's talk about the most important aspect of any game, the gameplay. Now, there are a few different aspects of Stardew Valley's gameplay. Of course, you have the core of it, which is the farming simulator portion. But to describe the game just as a farming simulator doesn't do it justice for me. You can also do things like start relationships, you can fish, you can craft items, you can customize your farm, you can explore caves, you can kill shit.
The teacher just cussed. I'm telling my mommy, Mr. Charles.
Boy, shush. With that said, though, the farming is the primary way of making money in the game, or at least it was my primary way of making money. I guess there's a ton of other ways that you can make money. The game goes through all the seasons of the year. So at the beginning of every season, you want to hit up your store of choice, the Juju Mart, which is the big chain store, or your local shop, which I personally went to because it's a smaller mom and pop shop and I didn't want to see them go out of business because I was buying stuff at the Juju Mart. Once you have all the seeds that you need for farming, well, you get to work. So the big question is, or the big question I had before I started playing this game is, does the farming feel tedious? And it never did to me. It never felt tedious to me. In fact, you can upgrade your tools to make them more efficient, so the grind remained fun for the most part. The hard part for me about the gameplay was figuring out my flow. Crops have different growth times and certain crops only grow in certain seasons, some in multiple seasons. But since it was my primary way of making money, I found it important to find a good rhythm. And that takes time because the game doesn't really hold your hand. But outside of the farming, you could also make money by fishing, by mining, which are both fun because of the decent controls. Let's talk about the relationship system.
Ew.
You could talk to and get to know townsfolk, eventually building a relationship with them. Now, this relationship system is not too deep, so don't go in expecting something that you would find in like Mass Effect or something of a bigger AAA game. But you can give gifts. You can simply talk to people to build relationships. Now, gift giving is a very much trial and error type of thing. I didn't notice if villagers were giving me hints at things that they might like. So what that led to was just me giving them random things until I found out what they liked and what they didn't like. This system is decent enough, but I wish that there was more of a hint or something to push you in the right direction to give a specific person the gift that they wanted to have. Now, lastly, let's talk about the controls on the console version of the game. You can definitely tell that this game was a PC game. Navigating the menus with the default settings was a chore. Some of the crafting items I couldn't even navigate to. Luckily, you can use the right analog stick like a mouse if you activate it within the menus. And this is the way that you're going to want to go. This made the game a lot better in that area. Running around with your character felt good. The fishing in the game was decent. There's like a mini game here that you play, and it was fun enough. Switching items was something that took me a lot of time to get used to as well. It's not anything that should deter you from playing the game, but on the PC version, you could simply just hit a button and switch to a specific item. On the Nintendo Switch, you have to kind of use the L and R buttons to scroll through your item list. And this could sometimes lead to me using the pickaxe and then needing to switch to my sword very fast and getting hit by enemies. Now, one thing I wish they did was, instead of the D-pad being used for movement, I wish it was like a quick item slot. This would have made the game a little bit better in that area. The fighting in the game was decent. Your character does level up and allow you to get stronger, but the RPG system in the game was nothing to write home about. It's the overall package that delivers something very special. So overall, what do I think about the game? Well, I thought it was great. I think it's an absolute game that is worth purchasing, and especially at $14.99. The game is super charming. It has a lot of world building. The farming simulation part is fun. The exploration part is fun, and I spent hours upon hours trying to collect everything, grow every crop, fill my museum. So if you're one of the types that likes to collect things in video games, there's a lot of it in this game. So class, we're gonna give the game an overall score of 83 over 100. That's a B.